Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Murky here, and this is a Cover the League video featuring the draft of the League of KSG Goats. And I am joined here today by Jules, the Wombat Lover, Kayano, and Caper.
Hi.
Alright. So first thing what we're going to do, this video is just going to be a basic coverage video. We're going to go over all the teams in the video, and we are going to just give thoughts or anything about it, and just try to enjoy yourselves, because this is like while this is a casual approach to this, I wanted to be able to include all of my friends in the best way possible. Alright, so the first draft we're going to look at is going to be Jules's with the Grayson County Cubones.
Hello.
Alright, Jules, so go ahead and give us a rundown on your team, like your thought process and why you drafted what you drafted. Obviously Venusaur was your team captain, required team captain for joining the league. So how did you come up with the strategy to draft around Mega Venusaur?
First of all, Mega Venusaur is fat. And it likes to have a lot of offense around it that can deal out hits while it soaks up damage. The first mon I drafted was Skarmory, which really helps Mega Venusaur keep opponents on its toes with entry hazards, gets rid of enemy entry hazards with defog to keep the battlefield clear, keep Venu from taking too much chip damage. Next, I grabbed Zygarde Fitty, because that thing hits like a train. And after that was when I really started looking at, Venusaur's weaknesses, making sure that I had everything covered. Mega Venusaur can't really do much of anything to poison types. And two of Poison's biggest weaknesses, of course, are Psychic and Dark. No. I'm tired.
No,
Ground and Psychic. So, Zygarde brings the ground with 1,000 arrows, quite possibly the most spammable move in the history of spam. Insert Monty Python spam skit here. But this draft wasn't looking super fast so far. I mean, Gardevoir's okay. Skarm's Zygarde can boost up with Dragon Dance. So I needed something speedy. And looking at trying to finish my FWG core, I went for Sharpedo for speed boost, and Salazzle for its naturally high speed, and also because there is a Mega Diancie in my division, and that worried me.
Like, going on about this, you seem to have a really nice defensive core going on. And did you intentionally plan on doing that, or did it just happen?
I wanted to try to get a nice balance of defense and offense. So I wanted mons that weren't going to just blow over in the breeze and die in one hit. And yet I have Salazzle and Jolteon on this draft. But I definitely love especially Venu and Skarmory for that defensive core. Because between those two mons, you are repelling so many types. Poison types can't touch you. Fire types only do neutral damage to Venusaur's thick fat. Ice types only do neutral damage to either of those mons. A lot of offensive typings are just either nerfed by one or the other. And whatever offensive mons that they can't quite handle, Skarmory's sturdy makes sure it can at least live one hit to pop off Stealth Rock, pop off Defog, and really get in there, make sure that your team can still stand a chance without it.
All right, sounds good. Any comments on the lower half of your draft?
Let's see, the lower half of my draft was mostly trying to cover the weaknesses that I had created for myself with the first half of my draft. I didn't have a Volt Turn core. I only had, a 1.5 reliable stealth rockers. I did not have a defensive water type, and I had 2 going on 3 poison mons in my draft, so I definitely wanted some more coverage against the psychic type, which is where Umbreon came in, and Sand Slash was a cheap, bulky spinner to finish things off and make sure that Volbeat and Skarmory weren't on their own trying to deal with entry hazards, because Volbeat is weak to Stealth Rock, and Skarm takes neutral damage from it, but Sandslash takes reduced damage from it, and I can keep my own entry hazards in play if I'm using that mon's Rapid Spin instead of a Defog.
Alrighty, any final words, any final comments about your draft?
God, I hope this goes better than Milky Way Season 5.
All right, and thank you very much, Jules. And it looks like we have been joined by Dazzle, one of the mods and admins of the league, and another coach. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm doing just fine. All right, so next up we have Caper, coach of the Toronto Tyrantrums. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about your draft, Caper?
Yeah, as he says, I am. You can hear me fine, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, as he says, I'm Caper, the coach of the Toronto Tyrantrums, and unlike Jules, I drafted my team purely off of sentimental reasons. I mean, Mega Bennett is my captain.
Right.
So with that being said, I mostly built my team around Abuse Trickster and trying to make Salamence and Mega Charizard X big, like have them sweep. Tapu Fini, a great defensive mod. Fairy types are pretty much a staple in this generation. And I think you can learn Defog, Blue Glass is great. Hydro Pump Spam. They stopped me from getting burned. Misty Terrain stopped me from getting status.
Right.
And Solomon's. I feel kind of attacked by Jay because what he said about Solomon, so I hope he proves me wrong about that. Solomon is, I think Gen 4 and 5 proves the destructive capabilities of Solomon. We have Dundee Eye, another Crixtamon, fast, can hit really hard. Venusaur was more of a low pick, to be honest. I won the Leech Seeder defensive grass type, and I guess Venusaur filled that void.
Right. I can't remember. Was Serena taken at that point in the draft?
I don't know. But the thing is, even if she was, I kind of forgot Serena existed.
Like, I see your team is very offensive and it looks very terrifying. So, just looking at your team, how do you plan on playing around that ice type weakness with your only resistances being Ninetales and Tapu Fini?
Yeah. When I first drafted the team, I saw that Ice. That was the main reason I drafted like a Charizard X and Ninetales. It's one of the reasons I grabbed Gyarados too because of neutral damage and its high special defense. So I guess my main way of trying to deal with the ice type weakness is either using gotcha berries or having mines specialized in taking enough damage to where they can knock that Pokemon out.
Sounds good. It looks like you have 1, 2, 3, 4 Dragon Dancers. So you have a lot of setup opportunities, which can definitely make your team very, very threatening if they don't prepare for the right mons.
Yeah, that was the plan. I'm playing the sweet with Dragon Dance Crafty. Mark my words.
And those words will be immortalized on this video, Caper. So nobody will ever forget them if they decide to watch this video. All right. Any final comments?
I'm pretty much like what Jules says. I hope this goes better than my last lead. I have a tendency of going -4. So,
Yeah. Me too. All right. And thank you very much, Caper. So, with Dazzle being in here next, we'll talk about Dazzle's draft next. He is the coach of Saint
Hey.
Snover.
Well, to go ahead to talk about my draft, the captain of the draft is obviously Jirachi, as you can see, the favorite mon that I had to choose. And from there, I just kind of worked with Pokemon that I hadn't drafted yet, or just things that I generally liked. Specifically, Victini was a mon that I had never used before, so that being around in the second round of the draft, since the first round was our second mon,
Right.
Victini was, in my opinion, a really good grab for the second round of the draft.
Especially since the first round was so wonky with all the captains being gone already.
Exactly. Like you already lose 16 mons from the draft, and then you have the first round losing another 16 mons, and Victini is still around. So that was a pretty good grab on my part, in my opinion. But more importantly than that, I'm really hyped to use it. Bandit V Create is obviously the only set that can be run with this mon. No other set is viable. Obviously, that's a joke. But
you'd make AJ proud.
exactly. I cannot run anything else. And from there, obviously, Ninetales is just for the Veil, even though it does open up an option for Nasty Plot, but it's more so a secondary use for it. It really is just there for the Veil. I'm not going to lie about it. Thundurus. Thundurus is a mon that I had also not used. I mean, not Therian form. I had used Incarnate before, but this one is more offensive oriented. The other one I feel is a lot more of a prankster abuser.
Right, a lot more utility.
Exactly. T-waving the mons that you don't want to lose to, and then missing. And I feel like that opens up like a setup core. I wouldn't call it a core, but 2 setup mons back to back, which would be Dundee and Como. Como being again a mon that I had never used. Dragon fighting. I feel like it's a bit lackluster, mostly because of its speed and the fact that it's mostly mixed, and I'd rather it be dedicated either physically or specially. But it gives the options. It gives options. It's not the best pseudo legendary in my opinion, but it's there.
Right, it's also got that glaring 4 times fairy weakness
Yep.
in a format where fairies are everywhere.
Exactly, exactly. And it kind of sucks, the speed that it has. Which, by the way, my team does not have many things for fairies. It's basically Jirachi and Victini because I
Okay.
do not count Nidoking.
Oh, you do not count Nidoking.
Nidoking is not a resist.
Isn't
That thing
Victini?
is going to
Yeah.
be 2-hit KO'd.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Victini.
Victini and Jirachi, yes, but they're generally like bar Jirachi. Jirachi is actually a defensive Pokemon, but Victini to be used as a defensive Pokemon is like really last resort. At least there are not really that many good offensive fairies, at least in my opinion. So I don't have to worry about that too much.
Right, and
Anyway,
the best offensive fairies are not in your division.
exactly. There we go. I have good matchups then.
So, of the teams, yours seems to be one of the most well balanced and really intimidating. The only thing that I can really see is how do you what is your plan in regards to hazard removals with your only solid viable options being Kamala and Servine?
I'm going to run Default Thundurus every week. Nah. I feel like the team can pressure both with taunt. I mean, the taunt options are mainly Jellicent, but I feel like I can pressure with my own hazards, and that's probably going to be the tactic that I'm going to use more so. So pressure the opponent with my own rocks and with my own spikes. So if I do need defog, I can force the opponent to go for it, or they suffer from it as well. The fact that I also have sticky webs uh, works to my advantage in that regard because you either bring rapid spin, but I have a ghost, or defog, and I can abuse that. Um, I don't see myself bringing defog Servine any week, honestly. I feel like it's better uses. And Komala can be rapid spin, but in my opinion, it's a pretty bad rapid spinner. So I'm going to see I'm going to run with hazard removal.
So
Week one, it was not a problem, but we'll see as we go on.
so we're just gonna storm the gates.
Exactly.
All right, sounds good. And while we're talking, Dazzle, would you like to talk about 27's draft next?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So 27 is the coach of King of Nothing, and his his captain is Shaman, being his favorite Mon. And I feel like his second favorite Mon was also was the Mon that he took afterwards, being Megalopony. And then afterwards he took T-Tar, which is another Mon that he really, really likes. I feel like this team is really 227's taste, and it will work. It will most likely work very, very well for him and with him.
Right.
Uh, I like
Like
the I like the T-Tar and Lopunny pairing. I really, really like that for the steel types that T-Tar doesn't like. And Blacephalon is another mod that he has, Aurora. I feel like his draft is really, really offensive oriented. Uh, his defensive options exist, but I feel like he's going to be using the offensive ones a lot more.
right. I also like how T-Tar gives rock options and sand to break sashes for mons that could potentially just blow back Lopunny.
Yep, yep. And T-Tar, I think T-Tar's biggest advantage, honestly, is the fact that since 27 has Blacephalon, 27 also has the best counter, best check to Blacephalon being T-Tar.
You mean other than Incineroar, right?
Uh, I yeah. Other than Incineroar, yes, yes. That is another Pokemon that I forgot about. But I do feel like Incineroar can be pressured more easily, can be worked around better. But yes, yes. Bar Incineroar and bar Mega Tyranitar, Blacephalon has a really, really good pairing.
All right, and like you just look at this draft and you think, oh, that's 27. Like if you didn't know the teams or anything, you just look at this draft. It's easily identifiable as his.
Easily, easily.
Like the only thing he didn't get was Lele.
Pretty much, and that's because Lele was taken before him because you'd see Lele on his team.
So like 27's team is also really really balanced and really threatening. It's hard for me to pinpoint a weakness in it, to be honest.
Uh, yeah, I feel like that is true. He's pretty well balanced all around. His his entry hazard, like his hazard removal and setting is pretty good. His resists are pretty well balanced. I don't feel like he has any one typing that he's extremely weak to.
And like the biggest type weakness I can see is ground types, but he has Sigilith, he has Crobat, he's got Gliscor, he's got
Yeah, he has
Shaman.
he has Gliscor, he has Starmie to pressure. He has Starmie and he has Shaman, yeah. And Gliscor, I feel like those three cover ground weaknesses pretty well, honestly.
Mm-hmm. So like it's just really hard to find to pinpoint any fault in his draft, and so
Yeah, I
that's
feel
what
like
makes him
that.
dangerous.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see it better when he plays with the team,
Mm-hmm.
and has matchups go around. Then the weaknesses will probably be opened up. But for now, just looking at this team on paper, it's probably one of the better teams in the draft. It's probably in the like
Mm-hmm.
top 5, just
Easily.
because of how well balanced it is.
All right. Next up, let's and we can do open discussion now since these are all teams that we're probably unfamiliar with players that we're a little bit unfamiliar with. So let's talk about the Detroit Cobalions. That's I believe that's Dub, right? Or Dub?
Uh, I can check, but I do not disagree with that. That's probably right. Yeah, that is dope. That is dope.
Yeah. So just immediate thoughts. I see Smeargle as the captain, which means he could have any kind of shenanigans going on at any point in time.
Yeah. Smeargle. I'm kind of iffy on Smeargle, to be honest. I feel like, I mean, taunt is probably the main issue that I have with Smeargle. The fact that it's not that fast. It's not fast. It is very slow,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be taunted. But taunt, I feel, is very underutilized in League format. Even when people have good taunters, I feel like taunt isn't something that is on the top of their minds. So Smeargle will probably set up hazards, will set up webs, and will probably baton pass a lot on people because they will not bring taunt versus it, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure that almost everyone has a good taunter that is faster than Smeargle.
Yeah, and even then, like even if he is an offensive variant, its offensive stats aren't optimal to utilize
Nah, running offensive Smeargle is an unset.
unless you're Crimson against the Scissor, right?
Well, well, who knows? Maybe I'd still put my cards against Smeargle.
So his first pick in the draft was probably the most bizarre first pick. I mean, I'm not bashing him. He seems to be very competent, but I feel like Mammal round one was a little early.
Yeah, especially because his captain is Smeargle. I feel like he could have done better. Like, not of course bashing on Mamo. Mamo's a good mon. And the fact that specifically for his draft, there were actually some really good mons like Latias and Superior that were taken later in the draft.
By him.
But Mamo as a first pick, yeah, by him. But Mamo as a first pick does seem kind of underutilizing the fact that he has a lot of points to use at this point.
Right. It just seemed a little underwhelming at the point, even though there were 16 good when there were 16 mons off the board already.
Yeah, that sums it up.
Yeah, this whole draft just seems to mess with your head. I mean, he's got Smeargle for his captain, Mamoswine for his first pick. He's got Klefki down in there with all of its prankster, yellow magic what have you shenanigans. And then his last pick, Zoroark, which can fool you into thinking it's literally any other mon on its team if you're not thinking hard enough and paying close enough attention. So this guy definitely has the potential to maybe not throw off his opponent's strategy in terms of like the moves he's packing and his strategy, but in disrupting his opponent's strategy and making them second guess is like, wait, what if that's a Zoroark in disguise? Or what's this Smeargle going to be bringing this week? Or what kind of hacks are going to happen to me?
Yeah, I feel like Zoroark is a really good addition to his team, especially like last round Zoroark is not bad. I have yet to see how he's going to be using it, but if he does use it well, obviously it's going to help his team a lot. I feel like it's going to help specifically Superior, probably Pinsir. Pinsir is going to see some help from that as well. Basically, a sweepers.
Because like people just have to be able to pay attention and determine which one is the right one. Like if a Mega Pinsir comes in on rocks and takes only 25%, it's probably a Zoroark.
Mega Pinsir, yes. Mega Pinsir, yes. Before a Mega, no. But even like not even thinking about the mind games in the sense of that, but in how the fact like early game it can be used to break walls. Like for example, I feel like Necrozma is a Pokemon that could potentially like obviously bar Muck, but maybe Necrozma isn't the best option, isn't the best Pokemon to point out. But there are definitely Pokemon that his team will suffer from, and that if he uses Zoroark to his advantage, he will be able to circumvent the weaknesses that his team has. Specifically, I feel like fighting types versus his team are pretty good. Peony really has Latias as a resist, and the rest of his team is either neutral or weak.
Well, I think Mega Pinsir 4 times resist, but even then, fighting types get rock coverage.
Exactly. I kind of don't count Mega Pinsir as a resist again. Like, it will definitely revenge kill fighting types, but it does not want to be coming in on hits that much. Especially if rocks are up. If rocks are not up, then yes. If it's already pre-megad, then it is a decent switch in. But I still feel like he's going to be relying a lot more on Latias.
Right, and he's got the ever so hated Snorlax pick in this draft.
Yep. Snorlax. I mean, Snorlax is Snorlax. It's just generally a really, really good mon.
So, I feel like of the Mons on his team, I feel like Hitmonlee might seem the most out of place. But that maybe just be me.
I guess I can agree. Kind of based on the fact that his team is mostly slow. Well, there are like 4 mons that are over base 100, but Hitmonlee, I guess he's going to be using Hitmonlee mainly to break steel types that Mamoswine can't hit or can't deal with. But it's a good option. I don't feel like he will be bringing it a lot. If he drafted it for spin, then he did the wrong thing because there were definitely better ways to handle hazard removal. Yeah, no, Dash is adding me in the chat about being a spinner. I disagree. I don't like Hitmonlee as a spinner. It's of the 3 Hitmons, it's the worst one in my opinion to be a spinner. Although being an unburdened sweeper, yes, that is probably what he's going to be mainly using this for.
Yeah, either unburdened sweeping or a scarf reckless set.
Most likely, and missing high jump kick and losing because of it.
All right, so that'll be it for Dub. It looks like Dash has joined us in the voice chat. Say hi, Dash.
I feel like Dash has no voice going on.
And looks like Kayano has joined us again.
Yeah, Kayano is just listening though.
All right, so is there any so your mic's not working? All right. So, is there any do you want to talk about your team a little bit? Like just letting us know like in messages, or should Dazzle Jules and I talk about, or is Jules still here? Yeah, she's still here. Should we talk about it?
Talk about Dash's team.
Yes, let's talk about Dash's team, Toronto Rapidash
Okay.
or Black City Rapidash. It just didn't get changed in the doc. So
Oh yeah.
Dash's captain is Scizor. That's a very Dash pick. And same with Weavile, from what I understand. I don't know Dash very well, but from what I understand, his first two picks are very him picks.
Weavile and Scizor, right? Yeah.
And so
A good core, like especially paired with Incineroar coming afterwards. Scizor and Weavile offensively do pair very, very well. Um, they are lackluster on the steel type, on hitting steel types, on hitting, I guess, water types as well.
mhm.
But Incineroar and Charizard cover the steel type option, and I feel like he lacks something to hit water types all that well. He has Vikavolt, but Vikavolt is not that reliable.
And it's very
Uh,
slow.
exactly. But otherwise, he doesn't really have anything to hit water types. Although the water types usually are water psychic, or in the case of Toxapex, water poison, and he has something to hit the secondary typings of those mons. But otherwise, I feel like he might suffer a bit with the water types that he faces. Granted, Charizard Mega does, since he has Y, he does have Stellar Beam as an option, but even then, that is not necessarily the most reliable option for it. Offensively, his team is really, really good, though. I feel like the fact that he has 34 points left, though, he could have obviously used more than what he did. And the 1 point Ivysaur, I understand why he got the Ivysaur. He wanted to complete the Kanto starters,
Right.
but that does not mean that does not make me forget the fact that he had 34 points to spend.
And spent it on Ivysaur.
Exactly.
27 makes a point that he thinks that Gudra is really underrated on this team.
Yeah. Maybe not underrated, but overlooked, definitely. If people do not prep for that mon, the fact that it covers so many of his weaknesses pretty well, the fact that the grass typing, I mean, his other mons do cover grass weaknesses as well. I feel like Gudra is going to be used mostly offensively, though. Defensively, I don't feel like it has too much need for it, but offensively, it's a really, really good option.
It's definitely a good defensive switch for Swampert, like with the Sap Sipper ability.
Yep, definitely. He also has Incineroar, so I don't feel like he's going to be worrying too much about it. Even Charizard is a good switching for grass moves, as long as rocks aren't up.
Right.
So I feel like it will open up the option for Guja to be running Choice Specs or Choice Band or something other than Leftovers or Salt Test.
Right. I feel like Blastoise is a really underrated spinner.
Yeah, I do agree on that part. I really do enjoy Blastoise. I've been using it in another league, and it's despite the fact that I rarely use Wrap Spin on it, it is a good spinner. It does have the options to support.
mean, it's a bulky water that you can put toxic on and spin. The only thing
Basically.
the only thing that's stopping it from being a top tier is natural recovery.
Yeah, and although if you want to waste a Z move on it, you can run Z refresh and heal up and remove any status. So there are options to go about that. He doesn't have a wish passer, so he will, if he wants to have any sort of recovering in Blastoise, that is his option.
Does I guess
See.
Espeon doesn't count as a wish passer, does he?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I kind of overlooked Espeon. Espeon can work. I do not think it is bulky enough for it to be as reliable. Like there will obviously be matchups where Espeon is a viable wish passer, but I don't know. I don't feel like I don't like the usage of Espeon as a wish passer, although it definitely is an option.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely has the option for fast offensive sweeps. He's got Cofagrigus paired with Vikavolt and Gudra, Mudsdale, and Blastoise for a little faux trick room action as well.
Yeah, especially Vikavolt, I feel like will be abusing Trick Room if he ever does run that. Cofagrigus is the other option. I feel like those two are the main users of Trick Room on his team because the other mons are either midway or a bit too fast for it. And Incineroar is another mon that I feel like can be used for it. 27 is pointing out that all of Dash's bulky mons cannot heal themselves, with obviously the exception of Espeon's Wish passing. So it will most likely, or at least should be exploited by whoever faces Dash.
Yeah, it seems like with the lack of natural recovery on his bulky mons, and like it seems like Scizor, Zardex, and maybe Cofagrigus if you count Pain Split can
I
be
get,
being the
yeah,
only recovery. So I feel like Hazards can really wear his team down.
for sure, for sure. Um, the fact that Blastoise is his most reliable hazard removal. Scizor can run Defog, although Defog on regular Scizor, in my opinion, is even worse than Defog on Mega Scizor.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Espeon is probably going to be coming a lot of times just for the magic coat.
Magic
The
Bounce.
magic bounce, yes, exactly. Uh, thank you. But yeah, Espeon will most likely be staying in on all those ground types that will be killing it because it doesn't want to have rocks up for Charizard.
And just as a final point on Dash's team, how do you think that not having a fairy will affect him?
Um, Honestly, I don't think that you have to quote unquote limit yourself because of those typings, but his team is really, really weak to dragon types. The fact that his only resistance is Scizor is very bad. Scizor is a Pokemon, yes, but the fact that he also has his own Sun Up and Dragon types usually carry fire coverage. Um, he's really, really weak to Dragon types, and that's the main reason to carry a Fairy type on his team, in my opinion. Offensively, I feel like he can deal with Dragon types pretty well, or at least decently well, between Weavile and Intimidate and Incineroar. So, but defensively, he's going to suffer a lot from not having that Fairy type.
Right. And like that's just the biggest concern that I had for his team was like outside of Scissor, his team is very outrage weak.
Yep, definitely, definitely. Late game, if he does not keep away those dragon types, he will suffer. He has to basically keep Weavile as the count as the check to every single dragon type that he's going to face. That or Gudra, like Haban, either Haban Berry Gudra or some form of Gudra set that lets him revenge kill a dragon type.
Yeah, relying on Weavile for getting rid of dragon type threats also gives him the potential to have to try to find ways to work around fighting types. He's got Espeon, he's got Calvagrigus, he's got
Zardex. I mean Zard.
Zard Y. But if he lets just one strong fighting type move slip through, he gets or he opens the possibility of being just totally swept by whatever dragon is waiting in the wings.
For sure. Fighting types with dark coverage are going to hurt Dash's team a lot. His team doesn't like losing items. His team doesn't like dark types in general, despite having Incineroar. Incineroar losing an Assault Vest, Incineroar losing a Leftovers, even losing a Choice Band are all going to be detrimental to how Incineroar can play out its role.
Greetings.
Hey, Nightmare.
Nido. And G.
Alright, so moving on to the next team, it's got Kayano's team, coach that has been Darkrais. Kayano, would you like to talk about your team?
I'll take that as Kayano not being able to talk.
I'm looking at the chat, and Kayano's mic says that it's muted.
She might not be able. Her mic might not be working. All right. All right. So looking at, I got you. So we'll go over your team, and then you can give us any points that you want to talk about. All right. All right. So I really like her captain. I think Ryu Nicholas is a really solid mon to build around. I mean, just look at Wolfie. Yeah, Ryu Nicholas plus Tapu Lele it's like the budget version of Lele Megazam.
The budget version. Yeah, I feel like it's a more bulkier variant. Yeah, it's a bulkier variant of it. She does suffer from not having ghost types. I mean, the ghost resistances or immunities, though.
She's got Staraptor.
I guess Staraptor is honestly frail. Like for example, I don't see it hard switching in on a Gengar, on a Blacephalon. The fact that it can also take a flamethrower or a sludge wave or something to kill it isn't appreciated. So I feel like she does suffer on that part. She doesn't have a Pursuit Trapper, bar Aerodactyl, bar Staraptor. So she will have to heavily rely on those mons if she ever faces a ghost type. Luckily for her, ghost types are rare.
I can't remember. Does Steel resist Ghost?
Not anymore. Not since Gen 3, which was the last time that happened.
Gotcha.
But I thought that change was Gen 6, when Steel lost its resistances to Dark and Ghost.
That might be true. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. That happened in Gen 6.
I think that the combination of the terrain combo of Ryu Nicholas and Lele gets complemented by the pressure that Landorus, Therian, and Rotom Wash offer with their momentum.
For sure. I feel like Volturn is going to be a huge part of this team to be able to abuse Lele, to be able to abuse even Lando and maybe not Rotom, but Kyurem or Aerodactyl or Kartana. She has amazing offensive options. They don't necessarily pair up defensively all that well. For example, her team is pretty weak to ice types. Bar Rotom Wash, which is her only real resistance. So she might suffer defensively, but if she keeps up offensive pressure, I see her doing really, really well.
Staka also resists the ice types, right?
Which one?
Stakataka?
Oh yeah, Stakataka. Yeah, Stakataka can. Although it is weaker on the special side, it can take some ice beams. I do not feel like it's the mon that you want to see taking that damage though. But if it's an option, I guess it is an option.
I like the general bulk that she has. I just hope that she can play around that ice type weakness. I see 3 grass types on her team.
Something
Yeah.
I really don't like is just that the team loses a lot to Scarfers, I'd say, especially the fast ones. And I just think if you have a mon that can abuse that, it would definitely be a tough matchup to deal with. Silence. 27.
Yeah. Let's take a look at her speed tiers here. Yeah, she has a pretty big drop off in speed tiers. Her 3 mons above base 100 are, well, Staraptor is base 100, Kartana is 108, and Aerodactyl is 145, I think. It's around that range.
Something.
Or 150.
I think it might be
Yeah.
150.
Yeah, it's 150. So you can see the big gap. So she's going to suffer with base 110s, base 115s, which are pretty common, which will force her to run Scarf on Kartana or Scarf on Staraptor. So she probably will suffer a bit of Scarf Demons.
Any final thoughts on Keanu's team?
I think that offensively, she has the game. She has the options. Lando T, Lele, Aerodactyl. I love Kartana. I really, really love Kartana. It doesn't even have to be paired with Bulu for it to have the offensive capabilities of dealing with most teams. So offensively, I feel like if she always keeps up the pressure, she will be able to deal with a lot of the teams just because her options are that varied, her options are that good.
Also, memories of being swept by Calm Mind Reuniclus give me rage.
For sure. Combine Reuniclus is an annoying mon.
Especially in terrain with no priority.
The only
Yep.
Reuniclus set is Iron Defense, Calm Mind, and then Stored Power.
Stop this. Don't give her ideas.
All right, so moving on, since we have Nightmare in this call, we'll talk about his team next. He's the coach of the Detroit Dragon Knights. So talk us through your team, Nightmare.
What's up? Let's see. Just give me a second, because I don't even remember half of my team. Let's see. So I have Zapdos, DNC, Keldeo, Nidoqueen, Entei, Empoleon, Chestnut, Cosma, Cloyster Swallow, Aromatisse, and Shelmet. I'd say the MVP has to be Shelmet.
So talk us through the process of building around your captain, Zapdos.
Zapdos, I don't know what to say. It's honestly just an amazing mon. It can pivot, it can defog, it can take down pretty much anything I need, and I feel like I can utilize it the best since I have a lot of experience in using Zapdos. Most of these mons I haven't really used aside from the Cosmo. I recently dropped Cloyster for Bronzong, so I'm hoping I can just utilize that to accommodate for any weaknesses for Entei and Nidoqueen, considering those two are probably going to be used more often. Other than that, I think it's a pretty balanced team. I can then dick on 27 with Swallow sometimes. I can probably.
I think we lost Knight.
Then Keldeo is really good offensively. You all know this. I think they're good mons, you know. Then Chestnut can probably put in some work against some matchups. Shelmet is obviously coming. Some of you, I'm gonna use it. Just letting you know.
If you don't bring Belly Drum Chestnut, I'm going to be disappointed.
What was that?
If you don't bring Belly Drum Chestnut, I'm going to be disappointed.
Please don't reveal my sets.
All right, so let's talk about. You said you're dropping Cloister for Bronzong, so that you see, even then, like even though you're losing a spinner, you still have two of the better defoggers in the format, in Empoleon and Zapdos.
Can you repeat that question?
Like,
What did you say?
Who let you get Empoleon when you had Zapdos already? Like, who let that happen?
The reason is because Zapdos, I feel like it's used too much as a defensive wall when it has the potential to really do some damage as a special sweeper. It can do more chip than it could. There's just a lot of potential there, and I feel that if as long as I don't overwork Zapdos, I can at least feel some kind of freedom in the way I can build it.
Right. And explain the Shelmet pick for people who have not seen it in action. I said explain the Shelmet pick for those who have not seen it in action.
I can ship post pretty well. I bring unsets. I can provide no commentary, but I'm at least pretty okay at battling a little bit.
I think my Salazzle's hungry for the mess cargo.
Poor Shelmet. No, being clear with why Shelmet is a thing, it was basically born as a meme. I forgot who drafted it as first, but it was in another league. It was a whole thing. But actually, I think it was a JamVad video. I don't remember what it was. Shelmet was born as a meme, but it actually does have some decent usage. The fact that apparently people hate using taunt mean that Shelmet can get spikes up. Can get some toxics off. I hope it doesn't, but it probably will. Knight will find a way to abuse Shelmet, and it will most likely come versus someone with a ground type because Shelmet will not die to any ground type unless its name is Lando.
Right. All right, and so 27 made a really good point that Knight's team is probably one of the most well synergized teams.
Yeah, just typing wise, the fact that he brought Bronzong in over Cloister as a free agent later, because I don't really like Cloister on the team. Like, Cloister is nice, but I feel
I
like
dropped
Bronzong is
Cloister,
going to
by the
do
way.
better. Yeah. Bronzong is going to do better.
27 is asking me to quote him. If you lose to Shelmet, I don't care who you are, but if you lose to that shitty Mon and you let it get a kill, I will find you. I will appear in your closet and I will fight you. And I will come to your mom's house. And I will fight her too.
Oh crap, I extra to that thing because I live with my mother.
Time to bring it to every game. Oh my god.
Dear
Alright,
Lord.
so moving on from Knight's team. Let's see. Do we have anybody new in the call? No. Alright, so let's move on to the Westwood Wobbuffets. I believe that is it. And just first things first, you see Infernape, but you know that this is going to be a very good team because I have a lot of respect for Infernape as a mon. Let's see. I like Celesteela and Crocodile paired with Infernape.
I like Celesteela, period. I feel like that's definitely going to be like the MVP of his team, at least if he uses it well. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, who is the Westwood Wobbuffet?
That's Yit.
Yet. So yeah, I feel like Celesteela is definitely going to be the MVP. Infernape is going to be another amazing mod that's going to be used. The fact that he has double megas, though, not something that I enjoy. I don't know if we went through anyone else that had two megas,
Not yet.
but a few teams brought two megas because it's allowed. Like you can draft how many megas you want as long as you have the points for it. But
Right.
I heavily dislike the fact that you have two megas, mainly because you're not going to use them on without the mega evolution. Like you're not going to bring one and have it carry the mega stone for no reason. You're basically losing one mon every week because you're going to have a choice between one of the two.
I feel like
Uh,
of the teams who have two megas, he has the most. He has one mon that he can utilize without megaing it. That being Alakazam.
I mean, if anything, I'd say that T-Tar is the one that I'd mostly would agree with that, just because T-Tar can put up sand if you have drill or something.
Mm-hmm.
Alakazam, I can kind of see it, but Alakazam without a sash or Alakazam without a life orb, I feel like is really, really lackluster. Or without a choice spec or something. The fact that you can't have an item other than the Megastone will really, really hinder these mons, and I'm going to be surprised if I see someone bring a Mega and carry the Mega Stone, but not Mega Evolved,
Right.
and just to see how they use it.
Wait, I thought that this league had a rule where we had to first turn Mega Evolve. So essentially, if you bring both of your Pokemon with Mega Stones on them,
Yes.
uh, you basically have to Mega Evolve the first one that goes out, and then you have to potentially replan your entire battle strategy around that
No,
one decision.
you don't have the first turn mega.
No, no, you don't.
Is that a different league?
I think it was a different league.
Yes, yes. You don't have to Mega Evolve first turn, but you do have to carry the Mega Stone. So if you do bring both have to have the Mega Stone, but you're going to have to choose which one Mega Evolves. It's like bringing two Z moves. Like it makes sense in stuff like VGC or Battle Spot, where you can only bring like 4 out of your 6 mons. But when you're using all 6, I don't feel like it works.
Right.
Dash is commenting that it's mostly about prep, the fact that you have to prep about with 2 mons. But I guess that makes sense. But it also makes sense with any other mon. The fact that you like, if it were any other mon in place of Mega Altaria, any other mon in place of Mega Alakazam, including regular Alakazam, you'd still have to prep for that the same way. The difference is that you can't use both. So if you wanted to use regular Alakazam, you're losing out because you can't use an item on that. While for your opponent's prep, it might bring some sort of edge, which I don't completely agree with. You're going to be hindering yourself when building your own team.
Right.
At least that's my take on it.
And then moving on to the next point of topic here, I'm not completely sold with Noivern's spot on this team.
I guess yeah. There aren't really that many good ice resists on this team, bar
Celesteela.
Arachnid. No, Arachnid. Like Celesteela is still going to be taking a lot from a Specs Ice Beam or
True.
a Banded Icicle Crash or something. Mainly a Specs Ice Beam. So Arachnid will be heavily relied on for ice types. So Noivern, not that Noivern is the problem with ice types on this team, but um, it's its own dragon type. I mean, well, bar Altaria, so I guess you can use Alakazam, Megan, Noivern as a pair.
Mm-hmm.
It has options. I don't think it's going to be used a lot though, but it's there.
I kind of feel, even though it's a smaller, a slower speed tier, I kind of feel like Haxorus would have been better than Noivern in this slot.
Haxorus was like only a bit more than Living, right? Yeah, I do think that I think Haxorus is a better mon overall. So yeah, I don't disagree.
I think the sleeper mon on his team is going to be Skuntank.
Yeah, Skuntank is kind of overlooked. Um, it's going to have matchups where it can put in some work for sure. The fact that it can pursue trap the ghost types that his team doesn't. I mean, he has Crocodile, so that's done better by it. And
But like,
yeah,
it also is also a pretty decent defogger.
I guess it does open up the slots because his team has the most unconventional defoggers ever. I mean, I'm one to speak. My team has no good defogger. I'm gonna say Skunting is his best reliable defogger because despite having Rotom, despite having Whimsicott, those aren't Pokemon that you really want to be
Right.
using defog on them that
Mega
much.
Altaria.
Yeah, do not run defog Mega Altaria, please. Do not do that.
Yeah, like I play a lot of PU, and so I have a lot of experience using Skuntank, and it's deceptively bulky, and I think that the aftermath ability is really really good, especially if you're going to switch it into Sack against a physical mon.
Skunting for the aftermath.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely a strat. Uh, I feel like the other mon that could maybe do that is like Rocky Helmet Seismitoad, but Skunting as a sack versus physical mons, yeah, that's a pretty good reason to not want it around anymore.
and then I think this is an overlooked point, but Skuntank also gets Explosion.
Oh, it does. Yeah, I don't really remember that on it. Yeah, I feel like Skuntank is going to give him some good options to bring once every, I don't know. He's probably not going to bring it a lot. He's going to bring it like a few games, but it does have the options to make a difference.
All right, and moving on, we have the Vinyl Alola coached by Mono. Um,
Um,
I see Flygon, and I don't have a lot of experience with it, so I don't really know how to comment on it.
Flygon is the better Zygarde. Do not quote me on that, please. Flygon is a fun mon.
Mono team is pretty weird to build for, but it's not necessarily bad. It's just weird.
Yeah, he's got
Yeah, he has.
he's got
Yeah, go ahead.
Florges, Serena, Uxie, Miltank, Torkoal.
I think his biggest issue is the fact that his offensive mons are not that great. He's going to be like he's another one with the two mega thing, which I despise. I think that honestly one of his best options is going to be Torkoal and Mega Houndoom, just because Mega Houndoom in Sun is really really powerful.
And even
But
then,
his
I feel like Torkoal also hinders the full offensive capabilities of Feraligatr and Manaphy.
for sure, like it goes both ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that his high tier mons are very not that conventional offensively. Like Manaphy is great, but Manaphy really needs the tail glow to do any damage. He's going to be relying heavily on Gallade to break walls, on Houndoom to break walls, because Scolipede is not another mon that can break walls. Scolipede is either good as a lead or as a sweeper. Like
Heck yeah.
he's going to be relying a lot on some sort of setup on the fact. Like I'm gonna see him using a lot of Z Rain Dance, Tail Glow Manaphy. I'm gonna see him using a lot of Dragon Dance, Flygon, Swords Dance, Gallade, just because his team doesn't have great offensive capabilities. If anything, for Alligator paired with Manaphy is going to be one of his strongest points.
Yeah, it's either 1 week he'll bring the Manaphy Alligator said the next week he'll bring the Torkoal Houndoom set, and
Yeah.
just having that defensive backbone of Florges, Serena, and Yuxi and Miltank is just going to be absolutely annoying.
For sure. Milk Tank is probably one of his most versatile defensive options, at least to me. Like Florges is obviously very, very good. Serena, Uxie, but Miltank is probably going to be the standout of them, especially since it's so cheap. Like he's another person with a lot of leftover points. 10 leftover points, I feel like, again, that could have been like better used in some sense. Probably a mon better than, let's say, Miltank itself. I don't know. Miltank is pretty good, but there were definitely options I could have been thought over.
Any other final remarks on Mono's team?
Let's see.
Personally, you go ahead.
No, you can go. I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, personally, I have run or tried to run double weather in another league that just finished up, and in my personal experience, it is a bad idea because
Nice.
you have two completely independent cores that you're trying to build around, and your strategy completely flip-flops between the two, and it's hard to really get things going.
To take advantage of one or the other, you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the story of my life right there.
All right. So next up, we have the West Coast Weavals, coached by Mr. E. And Garchomp is definitely one of the better captains picked for this league.
Definitely. I feel like Garchomp. Honestly, I think Coco is the most abusive of the captains, but Garchomp is probably up there.
His Dragon Fairy Steel Core is really solid. Really, really solid.
His Dragon Fairy Steel Core makes me want to punch something in the face repeatedly. And that something is him.
Yeah, I feel like his team stops her though. Stops at that Fairy Dragon Steel Core, because after that you have a Gengar, which isn't that great nowadays. You have a Xurkitree, which is I'm gonna say is going to be really matchup reliant because of its speed. If it were any like 10 to 20 points faster, it would obviously be used a lot more, but it's going to be depending on that. His defensive options honestly aren't that great, bar his Clefable and bar his Scizor, but bringing defensive or bulky Scizor every week isn't something that you want to be relying on. I feel like his team really, there's a really, really steep cutoff after the Scizor. Garchomp, Clefable, Scizor, and then it's just a bunch of mons that are kind of there. They're probably going to be doing something together, but one by one, they really have a lot more weaknesses than they have strong points.
Personally, I think looking at his team and looking at his division, I think a mon that might stand out in divisional games will be Sableye. Even though it's typically not a great mon since Megas and the introduction of fairies, two people like in his division, I don't think 27 has a fairy. Techno has Tapu Bulu, which is not really a fairy, and Claymo has Sylveon. So he doesn't really have a lot in the way of having to worry about the fairy type weakness of Sableye.
Yeah, bar that Sylveon that you mentioned, which I feel can put in quite a bit of work on this team. Versus, I mean, bar Scizor, I feel like Scizor is going to be the savior. He has probably the best counter to to fairy types. I mean, in Scizor. So even if there were better fairies around, he has the option of bringing Scizor versus them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's going to be catching an HP Fire more often than not, which is one of the big issues with Scizor, but he also has Pokemon to circumvent that in one way or another. But Sableye does have a lot of leeway because of the matchups that he's going to have. The prankster is going to be really, really useful for him.
Yeah, just being able to prankster burn someone with Will-O-Wisp or prankster toxic someone. It's just I feel like that could end up making the difference in the games.
For sure. Sableye coming in that second to last mon and Will-O-Wisp being your physical attacker and just cleaning up. And then you bring in Ditto to reverse sweep after you weaken the Pokemon that's in. I don't know. Like, his team has options, obviously, but again, I just feel like he's going to have to rely a lot more on his prep than necessarily on his play.
Right. I think that the sleeper mon on this team is probably could potentially end up being Slacking. I mean, just run a lead Slacking set with Choice Band and just break a wall.
Yeah. Honestly,
I don't
that's
see it
definitely
coming.
something.
I don't see it coming a lot, but
For sure.
if the matchup is good enough, I could see that being a thing.
Yeah. The problem that I see with slacking is just setup fodder, just being setup fodder in general. But paired with Clef, I don't think that's too big of an issue if you're bringing unaware Clef at least. So I think slacking, honestly, paired with unaware, is going to take away a lot of the issues that slacking has. Although, again, like you said, it's not a mon that I see being brought a lot. It definitely will break someone. I'm just gonna be waiting to see who that someone is.
Right. All right. So we don't have a lot of time left, so let's go ahead and breeze through these last few teams. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Huntsville Staruse. We have. I really like this team. It's very. It has a lot of it has a lot of immediate power and doesn't require a lot of setup.
It's a pain in the ass, that's for sure.
Yeah. The Again, another team that I feel relies a lot on the lower tier mons, but has good options. Has Arcanine, has Tornty, which probably is going to be running Flyinium to not miss those Hurricanes. Hopefully.
A lot of momentum.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of momentum options which can be bad and can be good. It can be bad if he doesn't control his hazard game that well, which his options are pretty limited, honestly. Silvally, which is the best Pokemon to remove hazards on its team, Hydreigon, and Tornty.
And then don't forget Beedrill.
Do not run Defog Beedrill, please.
I thought we were
Stop
talking
this.
I thought we were talking about momentum.
Oh, no. Yeah, for sure. Like, his momentum options are great. Beedrill, Raikou, Tornty, Baton Pass Sylveon, Yanxiao. But the problem with U-turn and Volt Switch is the fact that you're going to be racking on hazard damage. And
Right.
if you don't control hazards well, if you don't have some way to remove them reliably, or have some sort of wish passer or some way to heal your mons, you're going to suffer more from Volturn than you're going to gain from it.
Right. Any final thoughts on this? Like,
It looks like a UU team from Gen 6, if that means anything. It definitely looks really, really a lot like a Gen 6 UU team. So I'm going to be very intrigued to see how he deals with a lot of the higher tier offensive options. He's going to be dealing with some sort of Latios, or he's going to be dealing with, I don't know, even the aforementioned Scizor.
right. All right, moving on to my team. I picked Illumise as my captain. It's my favorite mon, and it just gave me the added benefit of having a cap bonus.
Yeah, how much cap did you get from that? That's crazy.
15, I believe.
And you get Illumise for free, right? Damn.
And you didn't even spend it.
Yep. Just like Dash. Damn, you have 27 points left. Dash at 34. You guys are crazy.
I have 27 points left as an homage to one of the admins.
Of course. The best one.
All right, so my first pick was Latios. I felt like I just wanted to get a strong dragon first. Most of my team was drafted because it looked good on paper, and I kind of don't have the feel for it just yet, so I'm gonna be working on trying to get that. Heatran and Latios are really strong together. Really, I think they cover each other's weaknesses really well.
Can I be heard?
Yes,
Yes.
All right, sick. What team are we on?
mine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ha.
I'm sorry. All right, can I just say a couple things really quick? I don't know what y'all said.
Go ahead.
Mega Sharpedo's broken. But you don't really have a team that can support it super well. If you did, it would be like easily one of the best. I think it's only okay on this team, and you'd have to use it to break instead of using it to sweep. Just because of the nature of your team, it's not really super strong, and it doesn't really support or facilitate like forcing a sweep, because a lot of the things that you would have to eliminate for that you can't really do. So you have to use it in the other way. You have to break for stuff like your Lottie, like your Heatran and stuff like that. Good team on paper. It's just you have to play a certain way in
Right.
order to succeed,
And
and
now,
you have to have like certain conditions. It's really reliant on like having your practice super well thought out instead of just theory crafting. Like, this should work in this scenario. You need to know, like, if I get forced into this way, I can still win. Otherwise, you could be really exploited just by how your mons are.
right. And I feel like after 10 growth, I started to draft. Still trying to fill holes that I was missing, but also trying to draft for my division.
I honestly think I feel like that's pretty true. I'm gonna say a hot take really quick. I think Aerodactyl is kind of overrated on this team. It's not super great. It's good, but I would have rathered something with a more powerful flying stab personally, as opposed to just something you'll probably only or typically use for like sash lead rocks or like stall breaking.
Yeah.
I would have preferred, and something that's not weak to what is it? 4 types of priority? I'm pretty sure it's 4, right?
No.
Arrow, no.
Yeah,
No.
bullet punch.
Oh yeah. It loses to
Accelerock.
bullet punch.
Accelerock, Aqua Jet, and Ice Shard. So that's 4.
Yeah, Accelerock is neutral, but honestly, Aerodactyl is going to die
Accelerock's
to
not
it
neutral.
anyway.
Rock doesn't resist rock.
It does. Rock does resist rock.
No, it doesn't.
No, it does not.
No, it does not.
It does not.
It
Are we
does
crazy?
not.
it's never
Believe me.
resisted rock.
I mean,
What?
If Rock resisted Rock, there would be a Crustal on my team.
Am I crazy then? Damn.
You are
that's crazy.
you are crazy. Still love you though.
There
But
there
you're
is
crazy.
also that thing, that little thing of nobody drafted like in Rock.
I'm gonna pick it up right now. Like, I'm definitely gonna. You know, if I didn't have this T-Tar on my team, I would definitely have a Lycanroc. But I'm gonna pick it up.
Speaking of your division, you really don't have a lot of things that want to switch into my toxic picks.
Can we not talk about that? Can we wait to talk about that bad mon?
Yeah.
I want to.
For now.
Well, I went first, so no, we can't because we already did.
For now.
Okay.
For now, let's stick to just talking to the teams right now, and we can talk about matchups in a little bit. So, yeah, I started picking towards team. I felt like I needed a little bit more in the speed tier, and I felt like Aerodactyl was enough to give me that speed tier above Lottie. I like Azu as my fairy and a bulky water. It's got a nice utility. It can run a nice bandage set, belly drum. I really don't know why I drafted Glalie. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like, again, I think that's a really good mon. honestly, like it's a pretty good wall breaker. The fact that ice is resisted by almost nothing. But again, it falls into the groupings of teams with two megas, which again I personally do not like. And having both Sharpedo and Glalie feels really redundant. The fact that both of them on this team serve as wall breakers and not sweepers.
And they're both really frail.
Yep, they are pretty frail.
All right. I felt like Diggersby was the best ground type available to me after Glalie, and then I really wanted a ghost type, and Dusknoir was just calling out to me. I think the utility that Dusknoir offers is really good for the price that it is.
For sure. I feel like it's really underpriced at 2. It shouldn't be priced too much more than that, but it shouldn't be 2.
Right, like
Yeah,
being able to see your opponent's item while having the option to Will-O-Wisp and all of that.
yeah, and it's not even like a bad offensive mon. It's not great, it's not good, but it's not bad. It has options to do offensive things and not just be a bulky Pokemon at the back.
And then Chansey is just setup fodder, but it's bulky.
For sure. Like, my opinion is that Blissey in draft format is better than Chansey just because Blissey doesn't lose to setup. Well, not all setup at least. You can run an Ice Beam and reliably 2-hit KO a Dragon type, for example. But Chansey does suffer a lot more from setup than Blissey. If we're going to compare the two, the fact that they're the same price as well.
All right, let's move on. We got just a couple more teams left. All right, Techno's draft seems very Techno-like.
All right, are we back? Am I back?
Yes.
Yep, you're here.
Okay, sick.
We're on Techno now. Quaggy, Mew is very Techno, very stall. Registeel seems like the weak link on his team, especially since he already has a Steel and Cobalion.
Which team is this again?
Technos.
Techno, Carolina Dream Eaters.
I don't know Techno's team by heart, and I'm driving right now. You have to like go with me on this. I'm pretty sure he mascotted Quagsire, which is like the biggest
He
meme
did.
trap
Yes,
I
he
could
did.
ever think of. Because it's like, you don't. Quagsire is a bad mon that he gets off using really well, and people.
They don't prep for it.
Yeah.
Or they try to and fail
And he-
miserably, but
He
not
loves
getting into any
mons
spoilers
like that.
here.
And he has I'm pretty sure he has Mew, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Mew's
he
another
does.
mon like that. Mew's another mon like
Yep.
that. The difference is Mew can hurt you, but a lot of times bulky Mew just kind of runs through people because they don't prep for it. And if you do,
Exactly.
then you just dick on it. But the difference with that is they can actually hurt you if he wants to. But he just likes mons like that. And what's something else on his team? I'm pretty sure he has something else like that.
Registeel.
He's got
Registeel is definitely one of those.
he's
That
got
you just get seismic tossed because you didn't bring a ghost type. You just get stalled out because you sacked your Firemon turn 3. It's one of those mons. You bring one counter to it and then that's it. You lose it and you're done. You just lose to Registeel.
and then Bulucha.
Oh, he has Bulucha.
Yep.
Bad mons. Alright. Bulu's a really good mon actually. Bulu's the opposite of what I just said. Regardless of if you want to or not, you're gonna lose a mon to Bulu.
For sure.
Usually it just kind of happens. You switch in something you thought resisted Woodhammer and it died at 94. It just happened. Hawlucha is a bad mon though. I just think it's not. It does a couple things and it's whatever. He has the option to do unburden shenanigans, but if you prep for it and you just run bulky, you should be fine. But for him, it's probably good.
Like all you have to do is phase him as he starts to set up
I
Sword
like-
Dance.
Yeah, I honestly like Mold Breaker, Hawlucha a lot better to support stuff like Mew. I like that a lot better.
All right, moving
We're
And
on.
talking about my team, right?
being able to
Yeah.
Yeah, I just drafted stuff I'm comfortable with.
fuck you, man.
I'm not sure. Like, I like the Mega Mange pick, but I'm not sure how I'm not sure if it really fits too well.
Hey man, fast electric types are essential to your success in drafting format.
I agree.
He knows.
All memes aside, I I like
Honestly, like not memeing, it's going to be his way to beat flying types. Otherwise, flying types, bar Registeel and bar Mudneck Trick do dick on him
Yeah.
a lot.
even
I
what about
wanted a
Sneasel?
good pivot and fast speed. So.
Sneasel is just kind of like there to revenge Pokemon. Mudneck Trick come in on them, will outspeed a lot more of them than Sneasel does. Not that Sneasel is slow by any means, but Manectric is also stronger.
Right.
I was also low key weak to flying spam.
Yep, you are a lot.
All right. So moving on to the next team, we have a very redundant looking team, the Hoboken Cocos. I think that's hollow, right?
Which one?
Hoboken Cocos
What does it have?
as the Galvantula team.
Oh yes.
It's a very redundant team. He has two web setters in Levani and Galvantula, and then a bunch of
Oh, damn! I
then a
did not
bunch of
notice.
mons that can benefit from webs being up.
Yeah, I did not see that they had two web setters. That honestly is not great. Like Levani, like they had 7 points left. Like I've gotten a 9 point mon or something that wasn't Levani.
Like
I don't know. That was a weird pick.
a nice normal type could have been gotten in place of Levani.
Or anything because Levani is really only there for webs. Like even maybe a second electric type. The fact that you only have Galvantula and maybe you don't want to run Galvantula as an offensive mon or something. I don't know. Well, Levani is what's sticking out there. But otherwise, again, bar the fact that two megas again. Mega T-Tar is there. I am 100% going to bet that Mega T-Tar is there because both T-Tar and Hippowdon had already been taken at this point in the draft. And since they had Drill, they wanted something to set up Sand that wasn't Gigalith. Actually, Gigalith was also taken at this point, I think. So
Right.
T-Tar was literally the only thing that they had that could set up Sand, so that was the reason they got it. So it's only going to be there for that.
So
But not having Smooth Rock is bad.
but he's got webs, he's got sand, and he's got Kieran Black, Mega Metacham, and Primarina.
Yeah, offensively, great mons. I feel like Specs Primarina is going to wreck teams. Bandit or Life Orb Darmanitan are going to wreck teams. And Metacham is just really, really good. And ICMZ, Kieran Black, I feel like those are going to be a mons that he's going to rely on a lot offensively. And they're not mad mons to rely on. They're really, really good.
I feel like the weakness that he has on his team is that if webs are denied, his team is going to suffer because he'll probably prep heavily around having webs up.
For sure. I mean, it's not a team that punishes you for defanging. It's not a team that has a ghost type for spinners. So there are definitely ways to deal with it, to deal with webs versus this team. But a lot of your prep is going to probably be dedicated on how to do speed control versus this team or how to remove hazards reliably and not give a chance for Metacham to come in, not give a chance for Kieran to come in, not give a chance for his wall breakers basically to come in on your spinners or defuggers.
Right. And going on to the last team here is the Hollywood Houndooms, coached by Nightmare. He's got arguably the best captain of the bunch.
Hey!
And
I mean,
yet
I'm
he
not gonna
still
debate
tried,
it.
and yet he still tried to trade that captain to me for Zygarde 50. Make of that what you will.
Yeah. He's got the Coco, Alolan Raichu for that Surge Surfer thing. He's got Alolan Persian that got that Z parting shot. Um, it seems like he's going to struggle a lot keeping rocks off the field, and that's really bad, especially with mons like Talonflame and Rabombi.
For sure. I feel like Bribombi doesn't even care about webs since it's going to be most of the time. But I mean, webs, rocks. It's not going to care too much about rocks because it's going to be leading most of the time. But when it's not leading, it's going to suffer a lot. Bribombi, Venomoth, his Quiver Dance Mons, Talonflame, again, pretty weak to rocks on important Mons. Despite the fact that he has Gigalith, despite the fact that he has Garchomp and Ferrothorn. The Mons that do care about rocks a lot.
And then I can
And
see a
that
lot of
also
his
lose.
important mons running Sash and Gigalith potentially breaking those Sashes with sand.
Yeah, definitely. Like these are mons that want sashes. Ribombi or
Alolan
Venomoth, I
Raichu.
guess to a less extent, but yeah, Alolan Raichu is another good one. I feel like mainly Ribombi though is going to love running Sash Quiver Dance or Sash whatever, and Sand is bad with that. Or even Talonflame, honestly. Talonflame, the fact that you can only use priority flying type moves when you're at full HP, Sand is going to be really detrimental to that.
Yeah, so I feel like Gigalith is just like the random pick that I guess he wanted to make Mega Garchomp work. So he just picked Gigalith, not really thinking about like Gale Wings or any Sashes that he might bring.
Yeah, there probably wasn't too much thought on that part. And honestly, Gigalith is no one that I see bring all the time. And you have options to not run Sand on Gigalith, which is the most important part. The same way that Torkoal doesn't always have to run Sun, which is something that we didn't talk about on the team that had Torkoal. You don't have to bring Sun all the time. You don't have to bring Sand all the time. They have other abilities that you can use to your advantage. And honestly, Ferrothorn is the better rock setter on this team. It's better spike setter. So Gigalith isn't going to be coming too much. So
Right.
unless you're going to be running Garchomp Mega just for the sand, um, Gigalith isn't going to be too big of an issue.
He's also got that Trapper and Gothitelle.
Oh yeah, Gothitelle. Gothitelle is amazing. Gothitelle is to me one of the best mons in the draft just because of how much prep it takes from your opponent. It's not going to come to every game. It should not come to every game. If you think about bringing it every game, you're thinking about Gothitelle, in my opinion, at least the wrong way. It's not a spammable mon, but it's a mon that's going to be very key in some matchups, and it's going to force your opponent to play around it really, really well. I mean, I played versus him week one. I don't know if we want to spoil that yet. So
No, not
I
yet.
had to deal with that. Yeah. So I had to deal with that, and I can tell you that it is a headache.
Yeah. I just the only question that I have in my mind about this team is like, well, besides the Gigalith pick, is how is he going to utilize Suicune?
Uh, I mean, it's Suicune, right? Like, bring Vinkun, bring Crokun. Like, despite the fact that there is electric terrain, despite the fact that you have sand against you, you still have really good mons to pair with it. You have Ferrothorn, you have Gothitelle to trap mons that Suicune doesn't like. Like, that's the thing about Gothitelle. The mons that Tapu Koko doesn't like, the mons that Suicune doesn't like, the mons that anyone doesn't like, you can deal with them with Goth. And Suicune will have potential if played around Suicune. You can't just bring Suicune as just another mon in your team, or it's going to die as a sack, most likely.
Right. Especially since electric terrain is amplifies one of his weaknesses.
Yep, for sure. I mean, all the terrains are like that. They can be played to your advantage or your disadvantage.
Or a double-edged
Um,
sword.
yep. Coco is probably, I'm going to say, the most evident of them, just because electric types are very common and you usually have a bulky water on your team. Almost every team will have a bulky water type, so you're going to be kind of afraid of people abusing
Mm-hmm.
your electric terrain versus them.
Now we have another question that I just thought of is he gonna be the guy to bring Crokun in electric terrain?
Oh my God, I forgot about that, right? Hopefully he doesn't forget about it.
Well, if he
Or
watches this video, he'll definitely know that's a thing.
yeah. I mean, I would forget around week 11, week 12. I'd probably bring Krokun because I'm kind of dumb like that. But Vinkun is probably going to be the best Kun set alongside this.
No, please.
A last comment from me is I kind of like Licky Licky as a bulky normal as a wish passer.
Yeah, it's good. I think that Licklickly is pretty overlooked. I'm not going to say underrated, but it's definitely overlooked. As a wish passer, as a cleric in general, it's pretty good, and it can also run curse. It's not a bad one to run curse. It has belly drum if I'm not mistaken, although I'm less a fan of that. But it definitely has curse, which is a good move on good setup on it.
Right. All right, and with that being said, that's all the time that we have for right now. Thank you everyone for the commentary, especially those who have been here the entire time. And I appreciate all of you all, and thank you all for being a part of this with me. It was a fun video to do in this style. And so this is Merkit, and we are signing out.
It was a